For exercise 7-35-1, we're going to do this one a little bit different. I'm going to start from the right plane for this particular exercise and go to create new sketch. And then we'll go back into sketch now. I want to turn on my standard sketching tools again just because it's going to make my life easier. But for this particular part, I'm only going to draw half, and I'm going to draw that half a little bit differently than normal. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in a geometry center line. And this geometry center line is going to go all the way across the screen in both directions. Okay, from there I'm going to go back to the regular line command. And I'm going to start this part by just drawing a line straight up, in, up, over a little bit, down, and I went a little bit too far down and accidentally placed a constraint that I didn't want to have in there. So let me go back to the line command again, and we'll bring this over here. I want to be very careful not to have any automatic constraints placed, just because that's not going to be good for the overall part. Now the thing of it is with this here, I've got a lot of things going on, and some of the things going on may not be as apparent as everything else, but what I do know is that I've got this geometry center line down here that I can really work to my advantage for these dimensions. If I click on the dimension tool and then I click the top line, the geometry center line, and then the top line again, when I place my dimension, it's going to ask me for a diameter as opposed to a radius like I would be getting any other time. This is going to enable me to not have to do quite as much work in the math area to get everything dimensioned that I need to get dimensioned. So that's going to serve as a really good purpose for having that geometry center line in place as I go throughout here. And all I'm doing now is I'm just continuing my dimensioning, and pretty much everything on here is one thick. And then my last dimension between here, here, and here is 6. Now it came up right, but I do want to delete that equal length constraint so that the dimension of 6 sticks. Now the last dimension I need is a dimension that is an overall between here and here, which is going to be 5. Now I've got everything that I need in here, so I can go ahead and finish that sketch. And now I want to revolve this profile. Now since I already had a geometric center line, it knew what to pick for the actual object, the center line. So I can now go ahead and click on the checkbox to say that that part is what I want. Now I'm going to place this first hole a little bit differently, and it's going to seem weird at first, but I'm going to actually use the planes to locate this hole. So what I'll do is I'll go to the hole command, and I want it on this surface. Now for my references, I'm going to pick this and this. For this reference here, I want it to be 6. For the other reference, which was this plane, let me go ahead and put this in. So this is 6. We'll make this 0. I want the hole to go through all, and it's going to have a diameter of 2. Once I have all the parameters in, I can go ahead and hit the checkbox. Then I'm going to go to the pattern tool, and instead of dimension, I'm going to do axis. The axis that I want to use is my z-axis, and I want 4 of those objects. So I'll hit my green checkbox, and there I have everything that I need for exercise 7-35-1. Okay, now that we have the part done, what we want to do is create the drawing file, which is just going to be a top view and a section view. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to File, New, and we'll go with Drawing, and I'll say OK. And in this case I want to pick a drawing and say OK. Now when this comes up, it's going to come up with some default views already, and I may or may not like the views that come up. Since this is only a 2-view drawing, I'm not going to be all that concerned about this. So what I want to do is I just want to change the scale to something that'll probably be a little bit bigger that I can still utilize for this. So I want to slow right click and make sure that lock view movement is turned off. And I'm going to move these views down to here, and then I'll move this one in so that it's actually in the graphics window. Now the thing of it is with this particular program, I need to create the section as opposed to just adding a section view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click this view, and in this I'm going to go to sections, and I want a 2D cross section. So I'm going to go ahead and add a section. So we'll go to create new. I want planar and I want single. So I'm going to say done, and I'm going to call this sect and click on the checkbox. Now it wants me to pick a plane, so I actually got to have my planes in place, and I want this plane right here. So I'll click on this plane, and then I'm going to apply this view. Now what you'll see happen is this view has turned into a section view, so I can go ahead and close this. And now I'm going to go to the Annotate tab and left click on the view title and get rid of it. I can now go ahead and dimension this view just like you guys have been dimensioning all the previous views, and you really don't have to worry about, you know, a lot of the other text and stuff like that. So once again, when you're done, make sure you turn off your references and hit repaint, and then you can go ahead and switch over to the Publish tab and publish this as a PDF.